this basically represents how when we become more conscious, how we start to understand things and what we see. So this is what the world, not just the world Earth, but existence. This is kind of what it looks like. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Thank you. How many of you are ready to learn today? Give me a yes. Give me a bigger yes. Give me a bigger yes. Give the person next to you a high five, say, I'm ready. And the other side, give them a high five, say, I'm ready. And take your seats, please. Take your seats. Take your seats, take your seats. Thank you. We are on day 3. We got to day 3. Today we're diving deep. We're diving deep. We're not just going inside here, diving deep. We're going outside, diving deep. We're going far, far away, diving deep. I want to draw out a very quick diagram for you. And this basically represents how when we become more conscious, how we start to understand things and what we see. So this is what the world, not just the world Earth, but existence. This is kind of what it looks like. This is kind of what it looks like. And not only does it look like this, it looks like this, and then within every part, there is the spiral, the inside. Within every part, there are multiples of this happening, okay? Does anybody, when you look at this, does it give you any reference to anything we've learned before in our upbringing? When you look at this is how. And it's interesting because a lot of you are typing universe. How many of you were back at school when you were learning something about the universe, the galaxy and stuff? It looks kind of, there's a similar resemblance also. It looks kind of like this. Yeah. Now, wouldn't it be interesting if, in actual fact, that being taught in school was full consciousness being taught unknowingly? Meaning that they were teaching it already, they were drawing it out already. It kind of looks like this, and this is what's outside the galaxy, the Milky Way, the universe, planet Earth. And unknowingly, there's a lot more depth to that information than even the person who was teaching it. Is this too deep for a first liner in the morning, or are we okay? We are okay, yeah. Jackie's saying, bring it on. Now, inside, there's an inside. Inside, there's an inside. Inside, there's an inside. Okay? Now, one thing is very interesting. Let's take something in our, when we start to understand this theory, by the way, and not just understand it, awareness is number one, but being able to connect to the outer layers, you will never do any of that, the book, The Secret strategies anymore, because it's like, what's the point? That's a waste of time. It's too slow. Because that now belongs to babies. It's kind of like, that's kind of like just scratching surface of, for human to understand. Because there's much more to it. And how I'd like you to see it is very simple, right? And I'd like you to write with me, because then you will start allowing yourself to reprogram the mind to understand this stuff, okay? And by the way, a lot of the things you are writing, let me tell you something. I know for sure in 1 year time, in 2 year time, in 5 years time, when you reflect back and look back at this notebook, you'll be like, oh my God, I get that now. I wrote that then. I thought I got it then, but I get that now. You will have aha upon aha. Are you guys following what I'm saying here? So right now, some of the things you will be writing down, the statements, it probably won't even make that much sense yet. But one day it will. It'll all connect. And this is just like putting that pebble there first. The starting the ripple effect. This journey of consciousness, the seeker's journey. So the first thing I want you to write down is that in different dimensions, time works differently. In different dimensions, time works differently. Some dimensions, 1 day can seem like 1 year. Some dimensions, 1 day can seem like 1 second. Now, in fact, moving to other dimensions and experiencing different time and space is not that difficult. Even in physical form, we are able to do that already. For many years, we've been able to do it already. Are you guys referring to what? Are you guys getting what I'm saying here? I need to first justify to your human, skeptical, logical mind first, because you need to first be able to bypass the mind to be able to dive deep. Is that what I'm saying when I say in different dimensions, time works differently? It isn't so far-fetched a philosophy or theory. It's not just my guesstimate. Because we already learn at school, when you go into Mars or you go into a different planet, already time works differently. Are we okay with this so far? Yes? So understand, in every existence, time works differently. Now, those of you, how many of you watched that part of the documentary After the Yoga the other day? Okay. Now, with reference, first of all, if you watch that first yoga session, actually, I can only say terrible. Like, it was just not that good at all. Like, lifting 1 foot close to head was already a big struggle. Already a big struggle, and I was falling over and everything. Now, the level of practice that I am at today was achieved within only 30 days. Everything. Like from that initiation to today, I haven't improved much, right? I think Kia's trying to do some nice camera effect on my head. I'll chop his head off, then I'll put it back in. I'll chop his head off and put it back in. So when we start to understand that, how is it possible that in physical, because in every day, in actual fact, I didn't practice in physical for 30 days. I probably practiced for 20 days in physical. I did so much meditation work. In fact, most of the 30 days, my eyes were closed. I was not here. When I was not here, I was somewhere else. In the practice being somewhere else, every time I come back, I'll look at the calendar on my phone, and a day would have passed by, but suddenly this leg would be up here, when yesterday it didn't even come close to the head. So I went in with also skeptical mind, just like any human would do, because we are skeptical. We will always be skeptical about the things we don't know. Are you catching what I'm saying here? Give me 2 hands, please. Okay. We will always be skeptical about things we don't know. So I was just like you. Dimension, am I really in a different dimension? Was I just dreaming? Or was I not? But every time I came back, it was kind of like this leg could do this now. This muscle was so much stronger, that could do that, and then could turn upside down, do this, do that. And I was like, this is weird. I kept coming back every 3 days, 2 days, 3 days. I kept coming back out of meditation. And literally, I had Lucy, who was doing the documentary. I had Dan, who was filming the documentary. They were just like, how did you do that? You couldn't do that yesterday. I said, I don't know. I said, I had this weird dream. I had this weird dream. So the next point I want you to write down inside your journal, the next point I want you to write down in your journal is that what seems like a small time we practice in outer dimension will manifest dramatically in this physical dimension. Meaning small changes outside, big changes inside. Okay? This will all piece together once we go into the next part. Okay? I think it's safe to say that most people don't know outer dimension. Most people don't know the dimension outside of what they can see and what they know, what they've grown up in, and what they can see around themselves. They're not sure. They can only guess at existence. Just like if we take, and dimensions, by the way, are all connected. You can say dimensions are separate, but dimensions are also connected. Because it's a dimension in a dimension. For example, imagine yourself in a moment to suddenly take your imagination, suddenly, right, just close your eyes, take your imagination. I want you to suddenly become an ant that's in the ground. Okay? Just take your imagination a moment. Become an ant that's in the ground. Okay? What are you seeing? What are you doing? What's your daily chores? What's today's tasks? You need to go to work today. What do you need to do? You hang around with all your other friends. What's your work? Look around you. What do you see? Okay? Live a day of an ant. Just live a day of an ant right now. What would you do? If you were an ant right now, what would you be doing? Okay? And just come back a second. Come back a second. Okay? Do you know humans? You probably know there's something huge that often just crushes down on you, a bit like you don't even know what to talk about. It's just really weird. Often there's this big thing that kind of just stamps on you. And you just got to really be careful of these natural disasters, they may call it. Right? They may call it natural disasters. You got to be careful. We don't know what it is. Often there's this big shadow that comes down, and that's pretty much determines it's going to be the end of your life. Yeah, so once you see the shadow, try to run as fast as you can. Do you know people by name? Do you know what humans do? Do you know humans go to work? Would you know humans go to work? Would you know humans would you know humans have cars? You wouldn't know, but you often know, and you probably have the name, if you were living in Ant's world, you probably have a name for something that does this once in a while to your friends and your family and crushes them. And you probably have a name for that thing, that spinny thing, this big wheel thing. They don't see wheel. All they see is something comes one way, and it comes very fast. And you probably have a name. You could call it a tornado, a hurricane. You can call it a tsunami, whatever. They will probably have their names in their existence, right? But they don't know the wheel. They don't see the alloy in the wheel. They don't even see what's on top of the wheel, to be honest. And they won't call it a wheel. They will probably class it as a natural disaster. I see your minds are going wild right now, huh? Minds are going. So what does that mean? Ant is living within your, okay, if I give it an example, it would look something like this. Let's say this one is planet Earth. Ant is living in a dimension within planet Earth. A dimension within planet Earth. Let's say this is human dimension, this is ant dimension. It's within planet Earth. That's why you can see it here in planet Earth. Okay? But it does not know of your existence. You are slightly bigger, you know of their existence. Actually, there's a crossover. So a bit of a crossover happening here. Right? So it's within. Let me tell you something. If something big was happening, let's say, for example, there was a place on some random ground in a parking lot where there was food left there. Right? This is the ultimate trap. Okay? Now, ants will be going towards the food just thinking, oh my God, this is a blessing. It's a blessing. Like, God's speaking here. What's going on? Feast time. Okay? Now, at the same time, the place where it has loads of food is in a huge, that day the market is on. Huge market stall. Thousands of people are there. Every few steps, finished. Life is finished. It's a trap. They don't know the market's going on. They don't know why you're there. They just know, oh my God, God has spoken, there's food. Then suddenly it's like, oh my God, all my friends just died. And then you'll go back home and say, hey, don't go to that thing, it's a trap. It's an evil trap, I don't know what's going on. I don't know who put it there, but it's an evil trap, and it kills people. Right? In the same sense, we can call the Bermuda Triangle. We don't know what happens there. It just so happens that when you go there, you disappear. I don't know what wipes you out. It kind of just you disappear. It's a mysterious thing. Is our minds going right now? Minds are going right now. But what if ant could speak to you? What if ant could raise their vibrational frequency? And I don't even want to talk about raising vibrational frequency, actually. I want to talk about tap into a different vibrational frequency. What if ants could tap into a different vibrational frequency, but that vibrational frequency is that of the vibrational frequency that you are tuned into right now, your reality? And they could give some signal, give some sign for you to leave food out, yet avoid and not step over there. It would have a beautiful feast. They'll be having the biggest manifestation ever. It's like heaven. What if they could tap into this frequency, connect to what they will call divine, which is you, and speak to divine and say, guys, could you guys leave this parking lot? Suddenly, all their friends and family will be saved. Small thing happening in outer dimension, big deal in smaller dimension. Now, another part of it is understanding vibrational frequency, and I like it best explained like, what's this? What's this? Harmonics. What are you talking about, harmonics? No, it's not. What is this? This is thank you, Jackie. Radio. Jackie, you studied arts as well, huh? Somebody who's on my level, you see. It's a radio. And I love to see that vibrations is more this way in understanding it, because it's very simple. Every manifestation or every dimension that you are within, for example, let's say here you are tuned into 89.8. And let's say here you are tuned in 105.7, for example. And then we not to forget that in between there's a lot of fuzz going on. Are you guys guessing what I'm saying? In-betweens. The in-between each one, there's a lot of fuzz going on. And each of these numbers, whether it's 98.7, each of these numbers is tapping into a separate existence, meaning your whole world seems totally different. Being entirely at one vibration is being in absolute alignment, where everything is so clean and clear, and your signal with the universe, you hear everything now loud and clear. There's no mistakes. Every disturbance, which is a mind chaos, the mind battle, the thoughts, is all the fuzz in between. Once we silence mind, we fine-tune the frequency to go into a certain reality. In each reality, world looks very different. There's minor tweaks, there's major tweaks. In minor tweaks, we are saying, we are all in this world. You would expect us to be in one frequency. But within this one frequency, there's all these minor tweaks. Because is it not true that we can both witness the same thing on the same day? Two people arguing, one can be upset, one is not bothered by it at all. One is still having a nice day, and they're both standing side by side. And the only reason that is because one is tuned into one frequency, the other one has decided they're tuning into the different frequency of that existence. So they're hearing different things. When you fine-tune frequency, what you hear, what you see, what you experience, that world is totally different when you fine-tune frequency. So we have these minor tweaks that we already are very aware of that we can tweak. We can tweak our state, our vibration, the way we're thinking, what we're focused on, and our world will look different. But then there's the major tweaks. The example of the ant communicating to you. It's tuning, if it could tune into your frequency and speak to you, it's huge manifestations. Imagine if the whole ant farm was starving right now, and imagine it could just somehow tune into this human frequency. And you're like, oh my God, I'm speaking human language. This is so weird. Imagine this ant will be having a hell of a time right now. This is so weird. I'm hearing human language and I kind of understand what they're saying. This is so trippy. Right? And then they're like, oh my God, what should I do now? Well, then I should speak to somebody. Imagine if I could speak to somebody. I speak to somebody's mind and I say, hey, you feel full right now. You don't want to eat that pizza. You don't want to eat it. You don't want to eat it. Really, you don't want to eat it. Yeah, it's okay. Just drop it on the ground for now. Just drop it on the ground for now. Imagine if you could do that. And then you're playing with that mind. Suddenly, the guy's just like, I'm really full. I can't eat this anymore. Puts it in a bag and then puts it on the ground for now. I'll throw it out later. Do we not always have these random subconscious thoughts to decide, actually, I'm going to do something else instead. Actually, I don't want to do that anymore. Actually, I don't know why I don't feel it right now. I'm going to just leave it there. Are you guys getting what I'm saying? We have these all the time. Now, let me ask you this question. Where do your random thoughts come from? In fact, is anything random? Adeline is going crazy right now. Mind is frying. Is mind frying? Today is very deep. Are we receiving okay? Are we receiving okay? Is this interesting for you, or shall we go back to the secret and just some vision board stuff? So that is tapping. They speak to divine. When they channel into the frequency of divine, they speak to divine. When they speak to divine, their manifestation is far greater. Imagine the ants, lack of food, them going hunting for food. It's going to be so much more work than being able just to speak to God, which is you, and say, hey, just drop the pizza, dude. It's so much easier, no? Right? And the effect is massive. The effect is massive. All of this is not far-fetched. We talked about this already. We talked about the cell in our body, remember? From day one, we already talked about this. The cell in your body will work so hard to try and fix the problems inside. But if they could, imagine that cell in your body just suddenly like, you have a spiritual cell. That spiritual cell is kind of like peace every day. All his other cell friends are kind of like, oh, what's wrong with this dude? He's like, you don't understand. We can connect to the divine. They're like, get out of here. Get back to work. Pump the blood around the body. Come on, let's get to work. Get to work. He's like, we don't need to do that, actually. You know, our work is so much easier if we channel and we connect to the divine and we speak to them. We can manifest far greater. They're like, come on, dude. Get to work. He's like, I'm not going to work. I'm just going to meditate today. You're going to do what? Meditate. Why are you meditating? What does that mean? I'm going to sit here. You're going to sit here? Get off your lazy ass. No. I don't need to get off my lazy ass. I'm doing the big work. You don't even understand. Big work? You're sat there doing nothing. The whole army of cells here, we're pumping blood around the body. We got work to do here, you lazy ass. He's like, you'll never understand. You'll never understand. Let me keep myself to myself. I'll do my work. I'm going third eye meditation. I'm going out, and through these dimensions, vibrations, into human dimension. I'm going to make him feel like he don't want to drink this alcohol anymore. I'm going to speak to you. Hey, you. How many of you sometimes have voices in your head? Who's that? Who is it? We said this on day one. I said, it's funny how we sometimes say, I'm angry with myself. I am angry with myself. Oh, there's two of you. Who is I and who is yourself? Oh, are you I or are you yourself? I'm upset with myself. I'm disappointed with myself. I am disappointed with myself. Well, I cannot see I can only see something that's separate to I. So, who is this other dude that's giving us all these ideas and these mind battles and giving us this feeling of intuition, or we should do something else, or who is this? Everybody take a deep inhale and slow exhale. Existence in existence in existence in existence in existence. Game, one game, one game, one game, one game. Each dimension, different game, different game, different game. Different game is going on. Different game. Do you know like something like forest fires? In California, been going through forest fires not so long ago, just beginning of year. Australia, going through forest fires. Huge deal, no? What can humans do? Oh my God, how much do humans need to do to try and fix forest fires? What about if you could communicate with wind? What if you could communicate with water? But you are water. Wait there a second. You are water. What if you could communicate with earth? What if you can communicate with these 5 elements, which is in existence, which is life? We know water is life because we are water. Otherwise, we wouldn't be alive right now. We would not experience emotions and everything. What if as human, we don't just go out on the field and need to try and put out the fires with a fire blanket, and instead, we could communicate to what is us, just extended us, but outside of the dimension that we know, and we could say, hey, dude, right? This managing director of water. Can you hear me? Could you give us some water? Managing director of water says, that's not my role, dude. Go speak to cloud. You're like, what? Could you imagine? You go speak to cloud. The one who manages clouds. You could solve anything. You could solve anything in an instant. All it takes is the clouds to come along and you're saved. But these phenomenons are actually happening already. Even in a lot of African cultures, they're doing rain dancing. It's happening already, actually, because there's different tribes and different people who are aware of this type of consciousness, so they are doing their work. And the average human usually just witnesses everything and thinks, oh my God, it's a miracle. It finished. It ended. But there's a whole group of people who are doing work all the time, the conscious people. But it just so happens that the conscious people is also, for whatever reason, is not allowed to speak to it, not allowed to speak about it. How many of you have a few question marks right now? You're going to have 1,000 more today. This is the seeker's journey. Once we go in, there's no coming back. You're opening up more question marks. You're opening up more question marks. Now, how does this whole system work then? Let me ask you this question. Is this one or is this separate? Please answer that first. Is it one or is it separate? It's one. One and separate. One within each other. Everything's one, but there's so much existence happening inside here. Okay? They are connected, but not many people know how to go into the other connection because there's constraints. Let me ask you this question. What about this existence? Is it accident? Is it accidental? Did it just like one day like, oh, what's all this? Do you think it's accidental? You know when you take some species and you breed them. As humans, we breed. We crossbreed, we breed, we interbreed, we do all this breeding. Plants, animals, there's so many types of breeding, right? And sometimes to a point where we can breed to a point to create something that was not there before. Are you guys guessing what I'm saying? Who created that? Humans created that. Who's divine? Humans are part of divine, no? When you create and you crossbreed and you create an existence, you've suddenly created a new world. Something that was not existence before. It was not in existence before. It was created. If there was a reality, a reality called ant farm, are ant farms accident? Who creates ant farm? That's a reality. It's a whole world, by the way. An ant that grows up in an ant farm won't know outside of ant farm. They don't know any other thing exists. They just know that this is life. This is what life looks like. This is what the world looks like. This is what we do every day. But a human created it. And so it means that human created an existence within human existence. Then let me ask you a question. What about human existence? What about planet Earth? Is it accident? Like, bloop. Wow. We have cars and, trees and, oceans and, wow, good accident. So, could there be a possibility that there is an outside dimension that created this reality, in the same sense that humans have already created thousands of reality within our reality that don't know of our reality? Has anybody ever had sea monkeys before? Do you guys know what sea monkeys are? When we were kids, we had these packets. You open it up. You can find it. You open it up. It's so weird. It's like this powdery stuff. You drop it in some water, and then you get sea monkeys. Now we breed sea monkeys, suddenly we put a tank there, that's their life. From the moment they arrive to the moment they die, that's their whole world. They won't know anything else apart from that world. Human created it. Is it fair to say that humans have probably created thousands of different dimensions within the human dimension? Is it too tough to understand that maybe on the outside, something that is bigger than us created this part as well? Is it too tough to understand, or how many of you are open to that idea? Just raise your hand, please. Everybody take a deep inhale. And slow exhale. So we go outer, we go outer, we go outer. Outer dimension is going by outer dimension, is going by outer dimension, is going by outer dimension. Each dimension, there will be something that is appointed, actually. This dimension will most likely have its CEO, and then its two managing directors. It's my best reference points, because I come from a business background. Is CEO and two managing director. Who manages this whole planet? Then they need to keep. Wait there a second. Wait. Let's have a think about this a second. Take ant farm again. Is there surveillance happening? Who's the surveillance? Is somebody appointed to surveillance? What are they checking out? What do they need to do? Is there someone on like maybe quality check and and make sure everything's working sufficiently? And does that exist? Would it be a case that somebody who owns this thing assigns different people to monitor different things? Does that exist? Yes? Hey, you take care of, make sure that's fine. And what happens when there's any problems? Do they just allow? Your outer existence, when you are farming something, or you're creating, or you're breeding something, when accidents happen, do you just allow, or do you fix it? You fix it. Are you guys guessing what I'm saying here? Is it actually allowing this consciousness to expand a little bit? Or are you guys just like, he's gone off his nut today? So, we have surveillance team for these things. Every different section, we assign different people, different things to monitor different things. Sometimes we even put cameras there, like physical cameras, to then check when we go on holiday. At least we can keep an eye and make sure everything's okay. Technology is advancing, no? So is it far-fetched to say outside dimension might have done the same thing? They might need to keep an eye to make sure everything's in balance. They might need to keep an eye to make sure that population doesn't actually saturate beyond what is possible in this reality. Otherwise, it would cease. This reality would actually end. Do you think they're probably doing some stuff to make sure that doesn't happen? What about global warming? We know it as global warming. Do you think that they may be monitoring this thing and saying, we need to do something about this because planet Earth is going to be finished if we don't? Will they be doing something, you think? They'll be doing something. How do they do something? How do they do something? Well, first of all, let me tell you what they cannot do. The CEO cannot appear as God, stand in front of you, suddenly appear in front of you one day and say, stop doing that, I'm God. Because it would freak you out. Not only will it freak you out, if it did that in front of many people, what would happen? The whole world would come to chaos because everybody will be freaked out, thinking, oh my God, what's going on? This is crazy. So they can't. So how do they fix problems then? How do they fix global problems, please? Okay, so pandemic, somebody said pandemic, Emily said pandemic, is natural disaster, what we see as natural disaster, accidental natural disaster, but outside, nothing is accident. They're doing something. Aside from them doing something, is it a case, let's say for example, let's say you're breeding something, some existence. And let's say they are not mating to create more of the breed. Do humans do some weird stuff sometimes to try and figure out how do we get them to mate? Or how do we change their hormone structure even? Does this exist, by the way, or am I talking something that doesn't exist? It exists, yes? So these things happen. We could even do some things that alter hormone or cycles or things to make it happen. We cannot just, in the middle of the ant farm, say, okay, not enough ants, so bam, here's all the ants. Because all the ants will freak out and say, where the hell did all those ants come from? They just fell from the sky. Shit, panic. But they need the ants to work for them unknowingly to create the reality that they need. Did you catch what I just said there? They need to. What about outside dimension then? Is it similar? Actually, every outside dimension is a reflection. Everything is the same. Everything is the same. Your outside dimension works in exactly the same way. When it moves inwards, it needs to look after it in the same way. Are there some people, has anybody here ever met some people who are very, very, very passionate about saving the planet? Like maybe like, I don't know, stop throwing straws into the river and, you know, and recycle plastic. Like some people get emotional about these things. We had somebody in our space, literally, they were talking about, you know, plastic bottles. We shouldn't do this. Why are you guys using plastic bottles? And I said, just chill. This is, you know, we're in Kenya and they use plastic bottles here. We just need to calm down. Yeah, why should we chill? What's going to happen with this planet? Have you ever met some people who are very, very emotionally connected to certain things like this? Has anybody met anything like this? Whether it's veganism or whether it's global warming stuff or whether it's recycling or whether there's some people who are very fixed to that thing. Let me ask you a question. How? Why? Why is that person so emotionally connected to that thing? Let me ask you a question. Going into entrepreneurship, a lot of people go into entrepreneurship because they want to make money, they want to free up their time. Why is Elon Musk creating something to take people to Mars? Why has Richard Branson for many years been working on that project? What's the compelling vision to do so? Is it for self? Why do they have an emotional connection? Why would just a human just say, hey, you know what? I don't want to just do business. I want to fix the planet. Why are they so fixed with this thing? How are we doing, Baharak? We okay? Why are we so fixed to these things? Why do some random... Has anybody ever met a kid that's way before? Has anybody ever met a kid? I've met some real conscious kids before. Like, so weird. In our space, in our FLC, we have somebody saving the bees, no? In our FLC program, we have a kid saving the bees. That's their project. I'm passionate about this thing. I want to save the bees. Where does that come from? Where does that emotional connection come from? Where does that emotional energy in motion come from? Where does that energy in motion travel from? Where does that energy in motion, energy is always moving through us, come from? And has anybody ever on Netflix, you watched The Great Hack? Has anybody watched The Great Hack? It's fascinating and scary at the same time. Fascinating, scary, and interesting at the same time. All at the same time. The Great Hack talks about how Donald Trump election was all just planned through Facebook marketing, basically. The way they work with the right emotional, the people who are, they find people who are not so emotionally stable and not so decisive. And they only feed the ads towards people like that. And they feed bad things about one side and good things about the side that they want them to vote for. Because based on their spending patterns, their browsing patterns, the internet has all this information. Even us as humans, we already use other humans to do things. But humans, think about it. Humans don't use all humans to do things. Even in the Great Hack, they didn't use all humans to make this vote for whoever they wanted to vote for. They found the people who were indecisive. They were the chosen ones to be targeted. Let me ask you a question. If you are outside dimension right now, surveillance, you're watching planet Earth, global warming is happening, too much population, need to move to Mars possibly or something like that. So you've got these different thoughts. Hey, we can fix this problem. 1, we can move to Mars. 2, we can do this. 3, we can do this. Okay? Now, how are you going to make it work? Well, first of all, you can't enter as God because you're going to freak everyone out. So now you channel your energy in motion, which is what connects us all, through to somebody, but not a random person, by the way. You channel it through, what type of person would it channel through? What do you think? Someone's going to, aha. Is it channeling through just anybody? It's channeling through conscious people, not only conscious people. Some people say, your circle, I'm sure they're channeling something this circle also. You're all chosen. People who are willing to take action, maybe people of influence, maybe leaders, maybe people with power. Well, first of all, they're not going to channel it to the tree hugger that's just tree hugging every single day because they're like, well, they're too busy hugging trees. They're not going to save the planet. So they're going to be like, I need somebody who can actually take people to Mars. Who could possibly do? Oh my God, this person has money. This person has connections. This person has gotten to a place where they're successful and they don't need to make any more money for themselves anymore. Right, I'm going to pick this guy, this bearded guy called Richard Branson. I'm going to pick this guy, Elon Musk. He has a lot of influence. I'm sure he could do something. I'm going to pick these two guys. I'm going to channel this through emotions, make them feel this emotional attachment. Suddenly one day they're like, we got to do this. So, oh my God, where did you get that idea from? It just came to me. It just came to you from nowhere. Always remember, everything is energy. Energy is everything. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. Thought, idea is energy. Idea cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be transferred. If it arrived here, it came from somewhere. Where did it come from?